Welcome all. It will be the summary of the Ox by Herbert Ernest Bates. Now, at first, about the author, some information about the author. H.E.Bates was an English novelist. He was also a short story writer and essayist and wrote about 300 short stories and 11 novels. Now, the important works: The Darling Birds of May, My Uncle Silas, The Love for Lydia, etc. Now the story starts. The Ox is a tragic story of a typical mother. Who was the mother? The Mrs. Thurlow. Her Christian name was Lil. She symbolizes hard work, sincerity, perseverance, atheism, and sacrifice. He represents all kind of hard work a woman can do. The society she represents. She was the mother of two teenagers, and here the writer projects her as the beast of burden. As you can see, this woman is doing very hard work. She is putting her all energy into her earning, and the writer projects her as the beast of burden, the beast who put on her shoulder all the burden. She wants now the why she is doing all the kinds of hard work. Now she wants to secure the future of her children. The children, she was the mother of two teenagers. She wants to secure the future of both the children. And her faith never runs smoothly. Her faith always is full of ups and down, ups and down, ups and down. Now, how she is doing hard work. The daily routine of Mrs. Thurlow. She got up early, 7:30 past in the morning, goes down the hill with her bicycle, and 6 evening return back in the 6 in the evening. The square of her life. Now it starts like here, sorry, here 6 to 9, here 6 to 9 for two retired sisters. She does work for two retired sisters, all the home house chores, etc. From 9 to 12, she worked for a retired photographer, and 12:30 to 3 p.m. she worked for a poultry farm, the work for the poultry farm. And 4 to 6, here 4 to 6, middle-aged bachelor. She worked for middle-aged bachelor. These form the square of her life. She runs like here and stops here. Next in the morning she again starts here. Now it is the square of her life. Now the husband of Mrs. Thurlow. He is Mr. Thurlow. His Christian name is Bill. He had no interest in domestic affairs. Naturally, he is full of amusement. Spend time in eating and drinking. Always eats and drinks. No responsibility about the domestic affairs. No responsibility of his children's, how they can excel in future, how they can be their best. He has no responsibility, no thinking about that. And he had a silver plate in his head. And he always felt proud He always felt proud that he had a silver plate in his head. Wherever he goes, he tells about that I have plate in me head. I have plate in me head. He was a martyr, and now he is a retired martyr. Once upon a time, he fought wars, etc. Now he became like this. He now is a hedge cutter. He cut grasses. Now the story goes on. Usually on Sunday, Mr. Tharlo comes late at home and came about 3 p.m. Usually on Sunday, what Mr. Tharlo does, he comes late at home and came back about 3 p.m. Mrs. Tharlo on Sunday, remember that Mrs. Tharlo read newspaper on Sunday. He was on leave. She was on leave, and she reads newspaper on Sunday, and she is reading newspaper in the kitchen. He was trying to hide something. Mr. Tharlo is trying to hide something. Mr. Tharlo. Mr. Tharlo is trying to hide something. He goes out with bicycle. And came late at night. And his eyes full of fear. As he has done any criminal activity. He goes out with bicycle, came at night. And the story goes on. Mr. Tharlo kills a man, steals his wife's savings. When he came back at night, he steals his wife's savings. Mrs. Tharlo is doing all kinds of hard work for her for their children, and Mr. Tharlo is doing all kinds of luxurious spendings, and in return steals his wife's savings and run away with her it is her hard earned money, bright future to teenagers. With that money, Mrs. Tharlo wants to give her children bright future. At last, police arrested him. Put him in jail, and now Mrs. Tharlo goes to ask him, "Where is my money? Where is my money?" And Mr. Tharlo, she saw Mr. Tharlo wears a coat which is new. So with that money, he bought a new coat to hide himself from all the policemen, that he was not done the crime. She decided to send her son to her brother's place. Her brother was a carpenter. Her brother's Christian name was Will. He was a master carpenter. He lived 4 miles away from Tharlo's place. Kind-hearted and hard-working. He was very kind-hearted and hard-working. He was a chapel-going man. He was a religious man. And his sister, Mrs. Tharlo, was an atheist. Straight-grained thinking. He was of straight-grained thinking and purpose. He had no peculiarities in his mind. He was a straight-grained thinking. Owner of cocoa-matting polished floor. Her house was of cocoa-matting floor. Her owner of cocoa-matting polished floor home. Felt now when Mrs. Tharlo Mrs. Thurlow goes to return her childrens that come back to our home. My two sons, your father had gone. Now come back to our home. But the children of Mrs. Thurlow refused. And now the Mrs. Thurlow felt insignificance of money. Thought she when she goes to receive her children, she felt like I will start a new life with my son. But her sons refused to come back with her. Now when she raised up to receive her children and come back home, my sons, but she refused. That sons refused her. The reality sons refused to come back to her miserable life. Now the sons of her was intolerated, was very irritated with her miserable life, that she is doing hard work, all time doing hard work. Her husband is refusing her, he was not doing any work, he is lived a luxurious life, and thus they felt very irritated. Now the themes: pain beyond measure. Mrs. Thurlow tolerated pain beyond measure. She is beyond a human being. The capacity of a human being to hold a pain, to tolerate a pain, to bear a pain, she is beyond that measure. The theme of endurance, the tolerance, endurance, perseverance, the themes. Obsession with pain. At last, she felt the insignificance of money. Now she is obsessed with that pain. She has nothing to do. She had nothing to do for anyone, and she had nothing for herself. Mrs. Thurlow as work machine. She is a beast of burden. At the beginning of this text, the writer referred her as a beast of burden. As a beast of burden. Now the Mrs. Thurlow is represented as work machine. And now the story has come to an end. She returned her home alone, and she will live alone, and she is now totally obsessed with that pain. And but she has not. One thing is positive in her, that she has no expectation from anyone. She has no expectation from her husband, from her children. She has no expectation. She is doing hard work. She is earning money. She had saved money, but the money has gone. Now she come back to her children. They refused her. The husband has got by police. Now nothing has left to her. That is her. But she is full of her positivity. Now the theme of pessimism and optimism here overlaps. Theme of pessimism and optimism here overlaps. And thus the story ends. Thank you. If you like this explanation, please write in comment what is your question, what are the questions comes to your mind. Please ask me in the comment. Thank you.